gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Daily Football Roundup proudly brings to you the best damn podcast in the world, the 12-Ounce Curl Route Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Current. You can find me on X at Aaron Current. My co-host, Kyle, can be found there at DF Roundup. And my co-host, Corey, is still not on that app. Maybe one of these days. I don't know. What's going on, fellas? How we doing?
Glad to be back. This is our first show with Corey, technically, in the 2024 second show with Corey. We did two around the free agency, right? Corey was in one of them. But I mean, technically, our third show of the 2024 season. Maybe not. Maybe our second show of the 2024. No, we did two after free agency had opened up. So, hey, we're here. We're back. I know I told you guys before we even kicked off, I'm nervous for today's show. Our first mock draft. We obviously started the show last year after the draft had happened, and we're excited to each have some teams tonight to try to mock the first round. And we're not going to have any trades, but I guarantee you we're probably not going to get a lot of these picks right come actual draft day because it's wild. Excited.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts and I've been watching NFL. I was watching NFL Network before I came in. They had Pass to the Draft on and trying to do a little bit of research. Corey, you're a big draft nerd, right? How have you prepared for this mock draft?
There's a lot of good playmakers in this draft this year. A lot of quarterbacks and a lot of wide receivers, especially. I think the whole thing about starting a team and trying to get a young quarterback and getting them free for 4 years. I think it's kind of going the wide receiver way now too. Try to draft. You've got potentially 10 wide receivers that could be number 2s or even number 3s, possible number 1s, and you're kind of seeing what happened with like Diggs and stuff. You're gonna see if you can get 4 years out of these guys and then let them go somewhere else for a lot of money. So I think there's a lot of playmakers in this draft this year.
Yeah. The way the salary caps are going at certain positions, drafting particularly well is extremely important to stay under the cap. The salary cap, everyone's up against it with that. So just like Kyle was saying, we're not doing any draft trades. And the way we're doing this, we each broke it up as we're different GMs for that specific team. Kyle gave me the Chicago Bears. So I will have both of their picks and the Cardinals, both of their picks. But basically, we're going to take turns making the draft picks through the NFL Mock Draft Simulator. I believe it's mockdraftsimulator.com or something to that effect. But and just like Kyle said, there won't be any trades because it's really hard to guess what kind of trade compensation to move up to where, which is what that'll kind of make it more difficult in 8 days. I highly doubt that the draft is going to go exactly like this, but I feel like it's a fun activity to do, and it allows some fans to get to know some of these players if we know a thing or two about them. I know Corey watches a lot of college ball. Kyle, I know you watch your Ohio State Buckeyes, so you see a lot of Big Ten football up there as well. I mean, if y'all want me to, we'll just hop right into it if you're ready.
Let's do it.
I don't have sound effects, but I like that, Corey. Thank you.
We're probably already going to get sued by the NFL now.
I don't think that you were spot on with the noise, so it sounded.
There you go.
Yeah, we're good.
It's like Queen and Vanilla Ice, just one little ding different, and you're good to go.
If we do get sued by the NFL, though, Corey's not going to find out till probably 2 or 3 weeks after us.
They got to send that letter.
Yeah,
and that's cease and desist letter that I'll get 3 months from now.
So if you guys are, can you guys see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, yeah, so it's NFL mockdraftdatabase.com/mock draft simulator. That's a free plug for y'all. And I've already selected all the teams, so we got one round 2024, running at normal speed. We're just going to go ahead and enter the draft room. Oh, and the Chicago Bears are now on the clock with the number 1 overall pick. I mean, it seems like a slam dunk. Everyone's calling this. It's Caleb Williams. He is the incumbent best quarterback. The Bears need a quarterback, so that's the route we're going. And the Commanders are now on the clock, GM'd by Kyle.
So the Commanders being on the clock, I think they should. I think they should trade back. They're not going to. They probably have their quarterback picked out. And when I look at kind of how the Commanders are built right now, they're going quarterback, and really it's between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. And I look at Cliff Kingsbury, and I feel like Kingsbury was brought into Washington with almost a promise of, we're going to trade up and get you Caleb Williams. We know that's not happening. So I think that they're going to get him what the style of NFL quarterback is going to. And with the second pick in the mock draft, the Washington Commanders select Jaden Daniels. They're going to get their quarterback that can run and throw, and he's just got to learn how to slide and not take so many hits.
Yeah. So Jaden Daniels, Heisman winner, ran for a bunch of yards, threw for a bunch of yards in the SEC. The Washington Commanders make that selection to try and capture a little bit of what they had with Kyler Murray early in Arizona. But that puts the New England Patriots on the clock, and our boy C-Flow, the GM of the Patriots tonight. Where are you looking, brother?
Well, so usually the Patriots trade out in this scenario, and I actually want them to in real life this year. I know what I want, but I think I know what they're going to do. I want Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Jacoby could handle it for a year, and we just keep building, and we already have that star receiver. But I think they want Drake May. I think they wanted Jaden Daniels, and if they couldn't get him, I think they're in real life are going to trade out. Damn it. I want Marvin Harrison, but I believe they're going to take Drake May.
Well, who do you want me to select for you, Corey?
Select Marvin Harrison. Let's get crazy with it.
Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to the New England Patriots in our mock draft and becomes their number 1 wide receiver right out of the gate. And Juju Smith-Schuster found himself in a little bit of hot water, so maybe it'll help them out a little bit. And with that, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock, and I have the Arizona Cardinals, and you just put me in a bind, Corey, because I thought this was slam dunk picking Marvin Harrison Jr. For the Cardinals. But with him off the clock, or with him off the board, I like Malik Neighbors a lot, but I feel like Rome Odunze out of Washington gives me a little more size, and they're almost the same speed. He has great route running, so I'm actually going to go with Rome Odunze to the Arizona Cardinals here. And that puts the Chargers on the clock with Kyle.
So there was, first of all, I had no anticipation of Marvin Harrison going number 3 to the Patriots. I figured it would be a quarterback. It doesn't really throw things off for me. But when I look at what the Chargers need, their biggest need obviously stands at wide receiver. I toyed with the idea here of taking Brock Bowers, number 5, to the Chargers because in 4 years, when you have to give Brock Bowers a new contract, it's not going to cost you as much as giving you a top-tier wide receiver. But this draft is loaded with wide receivers. It is loaded with wide receivers, and I think that the Chargers are going to be able to hit on wide receivers in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, wherever they want to hit with. And we've got to keep Justin Herbert upright. So with the 5th pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Chargers are taking Joe Alt tackle from Notre Dame.
Nice. That's an excellent pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you definitely want to protect your franchise QB out there. So that puts us to the 6th pick. The New York Giants are on the clock, with Corey on at GM again, and you got a little bit of a predicament here. If you
Yeah. JJ McCarthy was going to be sitting there. Drake May is there. I still think with this pick, I think that the Giants need somebody that you know their name. I don't know who caught a ball for him last year besides, I don't know. I can't remember.
Wandale Robinson.
Wandale. So I actually believe that they're going to take Malik Neighbors here.
Good pick. Malik Neighbors. Yeah, I like him a lot. He's got good route running, catches everything, a lot of run after the catch ability. And this puts the Tennessee Titans on the clock. And I am GMing for them. And I had my eye on Joe Alt to just plug in here because they drafted Will Levis last year in the second round. He is their quarterback. They really need to protect him and keep him upright, or he's just going to continue to get injured. Olu Fashanu was really high on a lot of draft teams coming into the draft season, and he's dropped off a little because he struggles with run protection. And Fuaga has risen up draft boards because he gives a little bit more of both run and let me look at the offensive tackle here. I am going to draft an offensive tackle here. And then the kid out of Washington, Fatanu, who's I think that's it's going to call it a reach on here, but I like Fatanu a little bit more than both of these guys overall. So that's who I'm picking for the Titans for their left tackle.
I mean, he's the number 2 ranked tackle, so
yeah,
behind all.
So they had him ranked 3rd. No, I drafted the kid out of Washington.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. Okay, and that puts Atlanta on the clock, and they are being selected by Kyle.
Well, Atlanta's sitting here at number 8. They have a quarterback who they just signed to a big money deal coming off of a torn Achilles, and they weren't expecting Drake May to be here, and they're not going to take Drake May because they have a big money quarterback. However, the Falcons, in my opinion, have 2 really big needs. They have a lot of needs, but their biggest needs, and I toyed with the idea of going wide receiver here too. I was thinking, 4th year in a row, go with a playmaker in the top 10, see if this one pans out. But they've already made some big moves at wide receiver with Darnell Mooney or Rondell Moore. They've got Drake London. They've got Kyle Pitts. You still have Bijan Robinson at running back too. So I looked at tackle and I looked at defensive back. And I think that I do think that the Falcons are going to be the first team to select a defensive position. They did add Jesse Bates last year at safety, but you really have to get somebody in there that can play the other side of AJ Terrell. And you can go with Quinion Mitchell from Toledo, but he went to a smaller school. So I think that you dip into the SEC, you go to Alabama, and you select Terrion Arnold, corner, Alabama.
Good pick. Terrion Arnold is known for his hands and footwork, which is a perfect mesh for Atlanta. That's a good pick, Kyle. I do think if the draft goes this way and all 3 of the wide receivers are gone and Joe Alt is off the board, I do see the Chicago Bears attempting at least to move back from this position to draft this high. But last year we traded away our 2nd round pick for Montez Sweat, the edge rusher. But we kind of went with whoever we could find on the other end. We brought in Yannick Ngakoue, and he didn't work out so well. So with all the wide receivers gone and the top offensive tackle, in my opinion, is more of a right tackle, which we just drafted last year. As much as I like Dallas Turner, I think Jared Verse gives the Bears more of what they're looking for. He's a little bit bigger to set the edge on the other side of Montez Sweat. Again, I think they'll draft this guy a little bit lower. But I'm going to go Jared Verse for the Bears here. And that puts the New York Jets on the clock, which is
Me.
Corey's team.
All right. The Jets, they need a lot of pieces. But I think at this point, Joe Douglas, it's make or break. You brought in Aaron Rodgers. He got hurt. This is technically his final year on the contract. I think you bring in another piece for him. I think they take Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia.
All right, we're going to lock that in. So they go and get Aaron Rodgers, an offensive weapon that he was asking for in Green Bay, and one of the reasons he left. And now that puts the Vikings on the clock, and this goes back to Kyle. We switched it up a little bit so that the draft would fall in a different way. But Kyle, tell me what you're doing with the Vikings here.
So, and I said this for the Falcons, and I mean it for Minnesota this time, is sitting at number 11. The Vikings are not going to sit at number 11. The Vikings will more than likely trade up to get their quarterback. If they trade up and Drake May and JJ McCarthy are both still there, who's the quarterback that they're going to take? For me, looking at it and seeing JJ McCarthy and the way that he played last year with Harbaugh up in Michigan, he is probably more pro ready than Drake May. But he didn't really have to put a lot on his shoulders to carry that team. That team was very well rounded. I think, like I said, kind of more so the running style quarterback. Drake May is not a Jaden Daniels, but he runs the ball more efficiently and more effectively than JJ McCarthy. So at number 11, the Minnesota Vikings are cheering and applauding and hoping they found their next Kirk Cousins, which they probably didn't. But at number 11, the Minnesota Vikings will take quarterback Drake May from North Carolina.
Good pick. Yeah, I like Drake May as a quarterback. I still agree with what you did with the Commanders. I think Drake May ends up being a New England Patriot, even though we did differently in our mock draft. He's got good accuracy. He's able to do off-script things. He's not as athletic as Caleb Williams, but I still think he's a pretty good quarterback. And this puts the Broncos on the clock, which is Corey's team as well. So tell us where we're going here, Corey.
The Broncos need everything. I thought about having the cornerback Mitchell come from them, but if this actually shakes out the way it's shaking out, they were happy because they were going to pick either JJ McCarthy or Drake May. So they want a quarterback that they think they can start a new franchise with or start the build with. They're going to take JJ McCarthy here.
Yeah, I agree. They needed a quarterback. But one guy to keep in mind on draft night, if it doesn't fall this way, is Bo Nix. He carbon copy almost of Drew Brees, size, speed, even their hand size is almost exactly the same.
Well, and apparently where I messed up the draft, it didn't matter. If JJ McCarthy wasn't there, Bo Nix was going to go probably.
Right.
It's just whoever of those 6 slid there, maybe those 5, they were going to take one.
Okay, and so now on the clock is the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said Oakland there. Their top need, maybe I just don't know this team as well as I thought I did. I was expecting edge, and I was going to just select Dallas Turner to go opposite of Max Crosby, but it says their top lead is offensive tackle or corner. But now that I think of it, I don't know who they have at corner at all, to be honest. But I feel like this draft is very top heavy with edge rusher, and you can grab corners later in the draft. So for that matter, I'm going to grab Dallas Turner to go opposite of Max Crosby, and he will, a rising tide raises all ships. I think Dallas Turner helps out the Las Vegas Raiders a lot. And that puts the New Orleans Saints on the clock, which is GM'd by Kyle as well.
And the wild thing with the Saints is you look at their roster and it's garbage. They have a lot of needs. I mean, honestly, I don't know that the Saints would trade up and draft a quarterback just because they have Derek Carr and his contract, but I could see the Saints selecting a quarterback in the second and third round this year and trying to get their next guy going because they are in cap hell. They have needs on the offensive line, the defensive line, and they have a really glaring need at the wide receiver position. I don't see them reaching for a wide receiver at 14 unless one of them falls, because this draft is heavy with wide receivers and they can wait. So I was looking between, at that point, probably an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. Trevor Penning, to me, hasn't really panned out. I think they took him either last year or the year before, and right away, dude was getting in fights in the offseason. So I would say that they would probably go ahead and grab a tackle, and I'm gonna have them go with is it Talisi Fuaga? Did I get it right?
I believe that's
Sounds
correct.
right. Sure.
The Oregon
Talisi
State
Fuaga out of Oregon State.
Good pick. So they'll plug him right in at right tackle and move forward. This puts the Indianapolis Colts on the clock. And Corey, you are the GM of the Indianapolis Colts tonight, so no pressure. I know you know a Colts fan personally.
Yeah. I think here they need a few things. I think they are desperate at cornerback. And since I can't remember who took Arnold, I think they're going with Mitchell out of Toledo, cornerback.
All right, that's a good pick too. Yeah, Mitchell's been zooming up draft boards. I'm not sure if a pro day really blasted him up or what it was, but I saw him really just jump up draft boards. This puts Seattle on the clock, and I am the GM for them. It says offensive tackle is their top need, but they just drafted 2 offensive tackles on both sides. The kid out of Mississippi State and the kid out of Washington. I'm trying to think of who they have on their defensive line. I think Latu is better suited in a 3-4 defense. He's a little bit lighter. And Seattle runs a 4-3. So I'm going to go with Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas, to give the Seattle Seahawks a little bit of pass rush in the middle. And that puts the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock, which is
stole my pick.
Kyle.
Damn.
You had I'm sorry, who did you just have going at 16?
Byron
I
Murphy.
drafted. Yeah, Byron Murphy, the defensive lineman out of Texas.
Okay, thank you. So for Jacksonville, their needs are probably defensive back, line, and wide receiver. They did just lock up Josh Allen to a big money contract. They've got their quarterback of the future. Running back's good. No running backs are going to go in the first round anyway. I wanted to look at this position potentially, and you know what? I think I am going to do it, and it might be considered a little bit of a reach. Maybe a little bit of a reach, maybe not. But it's not much taller than their tallest wide receiver, but he's at least got an inch on their tallest. I want them to go. I don't want them to. I like Keon Coleman in this draft. I like what he did with Michigan State and then transferring over to Florida State. But I feel like Keon Coleman's a major reach here. So yeah. Jacksonville's going to take Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU.
It's a good pick. Brian Thomas Jr., he had 17 college football touchdowns last year, leading all of college football. He's a deep ball threat, so that's a good pick for Jacksonville to try and stretch the field vertically going forward. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, GM'd by our own C-Flow. Where are we going here?
So assuming Higgins is staying, which I think he is, they need to shore up that D-line. It was kind of rough last year. Well, it was rough last year. They were last in a lot of stats, but they have got to keep Joe Burrow healthy. I think Olu slid, and I think that's a perfect fit for the Bengals. So Olu from Penn State.
That's a good pick. Olu, He's a really good pass blocker, and if he's not ready right away, they've got Orlando Brown on a deal. So
He allowed just 1 sack in 700 pass blocking plays in college.
wow, this puts the Rams on the clock, which is my team. They did have Aaron Donald retire on them. I sniped myself with Byron Young because he would have been a perfect pick here. But I think I really want to go edge, but you got Matt Stafford another year, and that offensive line was kind of crumbling last year. You got J.C. Latham here as a big, nasty right tackle that you can plug right in for them. So I totally expected to go edge or D line, but I'm going to go with J.C. Latham out of Alabama and plug him into the right side of that Rams offensive line. Now we have the Steelers on the clock, and this is Kyle's pick.
So for the Steelers, I'm looking between probably not at this point with the wide receiver room the wide receiver shaking out as it has so far. I'm looking at them taking probably I would say a defensive tackle, just because Cam Hayward is getting up there in age. But also a corner. I think a corner would be a really good fit for the Steelers here. And when I look at corner and I look at who's available, based off of my rankings as well, I would probably have them go with I don't know. Let's go with Nate Wiggins, corner from Clemson for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. They got Cooper DeJean listed as a corner, but in my opinion, he's more of a safety. He's better at kind of standing back and allowing the play to develop in front of him, which you really can't do as a corner unless you're in a zone type of defense. But yeah, I think Nate Wiggins is a good pick. He had an excellent pro day that a lot of scouts were at. That puts the Miami Dolphins on the clock, and Corey is drafting for the Miami Dolphins here.
I think they lost a lot on defense. They lost a lot last year. But Bradley Chubb and Phillips being hurt and not going to be 100% probably coming into training camp. I actually think they go and get another person for that D-line. So I'm going to say Jared Verse, defensive end of Florida State.
I think he's on the Bears.
Oh, did you already draft him?
Yeah. So your edge rushers, you've got Latu, you got Dominion Robinson, you got Darius Robinson out of Missouri. Those are your.
All right, give me Latu.
D tackles or
no
Latu.
Sorry, I was doing something else when you picked. Sorry.
I think that this would be. I think this would be a good time to go quick and just update the draft, the mock draft so far. So at number 1, we had the Bears take Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. Number 2 for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, quarterback LSU. Number 3, wide receiver Ohio State, Marvin Harrison. Number 4, the Cardinals take Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. 5, the Chargers take Joe Alt, tackle of Notre Dame. 6, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver LSU to the Giants. 7, Troy Fautanu, did I get that one right? Tackle from Washington. 8, Falcons took Teron Arnold, corner of Alabama. 9, Bears, Jared Verse. 10, Jets, Brock Bowers. 11, quarterback Drake May to the Vikings. 12, quarterback J.J. McCarthy to the Broncos. 13, Dallas Turner, edge to the Raiders. 14, Talise Fuaga, tackle, Oregon State to the Saints. 15, Colts, Toledo, Quinion Mitchell. 16, Seahawks took defensive tackle Brian Murphy II. 17, Jags take Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver LSU. 18, Olu Fashanu, tackle Penn State. I will tell you that at 19, somebody help me out with 19 with the Rams. I did not see who you.
I drafted offensive tackle. And we'll let me look at the whole draft board. But yeah, I grabbed Latham.
Okay. Thank you. At 20, the Steelers took corner Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, and now just 21, Latu, edge, UCLA to the Dolphins. Sorry, I just thought it was Good
Absolutely.
to catch it all up.
Yeah. All right. So that puts the Eagles on the clock at 22nd overall, and I am GMing them tonight. Their top need is corner, followed by offensive tackle and wide receiver. I like Amarius Mims. I actually like Graham Barton quite a bit here too. He plays center. He played tackle in college, but he projects as a center, and their Hall of Fame center just retired. But I am going to go with, and like I said, I think Cooper DeJean is more of a safety, which I guess that's kind of a high need for them. Actually, you know what? Give me Cooper DeJean and the corner / safety out of Iowa, and we'll let Philadelphia work out where he ends up at, and that puts the Minnesota Vikings on the clock. It puts Kyle back on the clock.
So with the Minnesota Vikings on the clock right here at number 23, they've already got their quarterback of the future, and they still have a lot of needs. Quarterback is no longer one of them. So I would probably, if I am the Vikings and looking at their roster, you could argue that they could go with a wide receiver in the first round. I don't like where any of the wide receivers have fallen as of right now. But if I look at their offensive line, I'm not really seeing that young anchor on the line. Not seeing that young offensive tackle. So I'm going to actually have the Vikings go with Amarius Mims, the tackle out of Georgia, and get Drake May some protection for the next 10, 15, 20 years, hopefully.
You get an offensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, and yeah, nothing wrong with that. You get your quarterback, you sign up for some insurance for him. That puts Dallas on the clock, which is Corey's team. He bet on them a lot this year, so it's only fitting that he ends up picking for the Dallas Cowboys.
Put me the offensive tackles on the board, please. With them not bringing Tyron Smith back, they didn't do anything. It seems like in free agency. But the one thing they got to do is try to replace Tyron Smith. I like Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma to fill in day one. Not as good, obviously, but they need something there. There. So
yeah. All right, Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma goes to the Dallas Cowboys, and that puts the Green Bay Packers on the clock, who will be drafted by Kyle.
So I could do a few different things here in the draft as the GM of the Green Bay Packers. I could reach, and I could take Bo Melton's brother, Max Melton, out of Rutgers. He's the corner, but we're not going to reach that high. I could go with a wide receiver in the first round for the first time since 1999, 2001, when they took Javon Walker, and really slap Aaron Rodgers in the face with that one, and take Keon Coleman, who played at Michigan State before going to Florida State. I'm down between two right now. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and that would be more of a sexy pick. But if we know the Green Bay Packers don't necessarily make those big splash, sexy picks in the first round. And when I look this guy up and I look at his position in the NFL, he's not really listed with a technical position. And I think he might be drafted this way, but with the 25th pick in the draft, the Green Bay Packers take offensive lineman Graham Barton out of Duke. And I think that Green Bay will like his versatility on the line and be able to plug him in at any of the positions.
Yeah,
you almost slipped up there. Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I know.
It's coming out a little bit there.
The Packers.
Yeah. He's got good versatility. He can play either guard position or the center position in the league. So yeah, and the way the Packers, I mean, that's just what they do. They just rotate those guys in and out. Someone gets hurt, it's almost like they don't skip a beat. This puts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock at 26th overall, and I am GMing them. They did go get they brought back Baker. They went and got the offensive coordinator from Kentucky. So they're going to try and push that offense that LA Rams style offense, and their top need is edge. And I've got Chop, Dominion Robinson, staring me right in the face here as one of the top available. Kool-Aid McKinstry is here as well. And I got one of my favorite guys right there, Jackson Powers Johnson. But I think I'm going to go. I feel like they know them more than I will, so I'm going to go. And I like Chop Robinson a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes quite a bit earlier than this come draft night. So I'm going Chop Robinson out of Penn State, and that puts the Arizona Cardinals back on the clock, which is mine as well. And their top need is edge as well. And interior. They also have the corner selected here. I like it's listed as Jerzon Newton here, the defensive tackle out of Illinois, the 3-tech, but he does go by Johnny, which is a little bit easier. I'm gonna draft him and shore up that D line a little bit more for the Arizona Cardinals. And this puts the Buffalo Bills on the clock at 28, which is Corey's team.
Yes, I feel like we could go play wide receiver for them right now. I think they need a wide receiver, period. Put up the wide receiver list for me, please. I want to make sure.
All righty.
That. Yeah. I think they'll take Mitchell out of Texas. He's the best on the board right now. They just need they might. I don't know how many draft picks they got off the top of my head, but they might take 2 or 3 in this draft.
Yeah. Yeah, they traded away Diggs and let
it's a big
Gabe go in free agency. So this puts the Detroit Lions on the clock. Selecting for the Lions is Kyle. So tell me where we're going, brother.
So when I look at Detroit, who made it all the way to the NFC Championship, and I look at the way that their offense played last year, not to say that their offense was one-dimensional at all, because it wasn't. They had 2 very good running backs, and they had 1 very, very good wide receiver and 1 very, very good tight end. I do think that unless you let Jameson Williams loose, you need another pass catcher in Detroit. I think that the more targets you can get for Jared Goff before you extend him on his big money contract, the better it's going to be for him. Now, I don't think this is a reach. The different places that I've looked at with his rankings have definitely been a little bit kind of sporadic. But I'm going to have the Detroit Lions take wide receiver Keon Coleman from Florida State.
I mean, yeah, they've got him listed a little further down on here. Xavier Worthy ran that really fast 40, which is what bumps him up. Ladd McConkey had a great pro day as well. Yeah, Keon Coleman, that's a good pick, man. He's
But for me, when I look at that, yeah, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown's 6 foot tall. Jameson Williams 6'1".
Mm-hmm.
You need to get you a big body in there too. So getting Keon Coleman, who's 6'4", and you're going to be able to throw it up to him, is really going to help that offense out.
Mm-hmm. All right, that puts the Baltimore Ravens on the clock, and Corey is on the clock. The Ravens.
For me, I think this is a perfect fit for them, and it's the best name in the draft. I think they take cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think he will fit right in Baltimore.
Yeah, they love their Bama players out there in Baltimore for sure.
Well, and they just need a couple little pieces.
Puts
and
the 49ers on the clock.
I think that just helps. They got 2 young guys back there now. They won't have to worry about them for a while.
Their top need is offensive tackle and defensive line. They might need wide receiver help if they decide to trade away Brandon Ayuk, which is, I guess he's on the trade block. But we've got a left tackle that is getting up there in age. I believe he's 39, 38. And and not a whole lot behind him. So I'm going to go with a guy who's been jumping up draft boards. His name is Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle out of Arizona, stays out west and goes to San Francisco. This puts the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs on the clock. And Kyle, you are GMing them.
The Kansas City Chiefs and Coach Andy Reid are on the clock at 31, and Andy Reid is licking his chops like he's looking at it like a hamburger. Honestly, I think that in the real draft that the 32nd pick gets moved to whatever team is trying to trade into the first round to take a quarterback, because you have that fifth year option. But when I look at what the Chiefs need, their biggest needs are going to be at corner, because they did lose. I can't even think of his name, to Tennessee. They traded him to Tennessee. L'Jarius Sneed, thank you. And they're also obviously with having a little bit of trouble with the law. They are needing some wide receiver help as well. They do need that. It never hurts to get an offensive lineman, and I know you said that Jackson Powers Johnson is really versatile as well. However, Patrick Mahomes misses Tyreek Hill, and you're going to take a record breaker at 32, and the Chiefs select wide receiver Xavier Worthy from Texas.
Good pick. Yeah, he ran the the draft is complete. Oh, let's see. I was going to try and look at who was left. But I don't know if it'll let me. We'll see what it. So I know we got Jackson Powers Johnson left. According to we can just recap the draft real quick, and I don't think it'll let me see who's left though. So we had Caleb Williams, number 1 overall to the Chicago Bears. Jaden Daniels, number 2 overall to the Washington Commanders. Marvin Harrison, 3rd overall to the New England Patriots. Rome Odunze went 4th overall. What is going on here?
Some lovely gentlemen on the
screen. Am I frozen on your all's end? What's going on?
No, the screen is.
Oh, so we got Rome Odunze, 4th overall.
I thought that was us.
The Arizona Cardinals. Joe Alt goes 5th overall. Yeah, I thought it was for a second too. Joe Alt goes 5th overall, offensive tackle to the LA Chargers. Malik Neighbors goes 6th to the New York Giants, wide receiver out of LSU. Troy Fautanu, the offensive tackle from Washington, goes to the Tennessee Titans. Terrion Arnold, the corner from Alabama, goes to the Atlanta Falcons. Jared Verse, the edge from Florida State, goes to the Chicago Bears. Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia, goes to the New York Jets. Drake May, the quarterback from North Carolina, goes to the Minnesota Vikings, 11th overall. J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback from Michigan, goes 12th overall to the Denver Broncos. Dallas Turner, the edge from Alabama, goes 13th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. Talisi Fuaga, the offensive tackle out of Oregon State, goes 14th overall to the New Orleans Saints. Quinyon Mitchell, the corner from Toledo, goes 15th overall to the Indianapolis Colts. Byron Murphy, the defensive lineman from Texas, goes 16th overall to the Seattle Seahawks. Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver from LSU, goes 17th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, these are great ads I'm getting over here. Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State, goes 18th overall to the Cincinnati Bengals. J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle from Alabama, goes to the L.A. Rams. 19th overall, Nate Wiggins, the corner from Clemson, goes 20th overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Leatu Latu, the edge from UCLA, goes 21st to the Miami Dolphins. Cooper DeJean, the corner / safety from Iowa, goes 22nd overall to Philadelphia. Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle from Georgia, goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma, goes to Dallas. Graham Barton, the interior offensive. Demarion Chop Robinson, the edge from Penn State, goes to Tampa Bay. Jerzon Newton, the defensive lineman from Illinois, goes to the Arizona Cardinals. Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver from Texas, goes to Buffalo. Keon Coleman, the wide receiver from Florida State, goes to Detroit. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner from Alabama, goes to Baltimore. Jordan Morgan, the offensive tackle from Arizona, goes to San Francisco. And Xavier Worthy, rounding out our first round wide receiver, going to the Kansas City Chiefs, who is an absolute speed demon. And like I said, it won't let me show you who's left, but we know we got I'm going to stop sharing now. I catch my breath.
I think for me, and I know we did the mock draft.
I don't know what
the mock draft with no trades. But Bo Nix and Michael Penix are not falling, in my opinion, are not falling out of the first round of the draft. I do think that one of those two will probably go in the top 20, and the other one might go towards the end of the first. Like I said, maybe at that 32nd overall pick. But I do fully believe that 6 quarterbacks will be taken in the first round of the draft next Thursday night. What about you, Corey?
I think for me, obviously we couldn't do any trades, right? But for me, I think they're going to trade. I think something's going to happen between the Patriots and the Vikings. Well, the Vikings made all those trades earlier. What I was thinking, if we did maybe 2 rounds in this one, was either we would trade back into that 32nd or whatever, or with the 35th fifth pick, we would take Penix or Bo Nix. I don't think the Patriots would mind if they had one of those guys versus Drake May and maybe even Jaden. I think they maybe want to build more, have Jacoby there, and then maybe get like a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix Jr. to be behind Jacoby for a year at least. Now, I'm not saying they're going to take Marvin Harrison, obviously, but in my world, with all the trading that's probably going to happen this year, that's what I would think.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these teams up top too. I mean, the Bears, the Commanders, the Patriots, like all 3 of those teams could. If I'm the GM of those 3 teams, I wouldn't mind trading back and acquiring additional draft capital because those 3 teams are not ready to compete today. They are definitely needing time to continue to build their roster. I guess you could argue that the Bears could potentially compete today. I thought they could have if they would have kept Fields. I don't think that they're a contender with Caleb Williams, and I'll continue to say that until I'm blue in the face. But I just think that the quarterback position and the wide receiver position. I mean, how many wide receivers did we just have go in this mock draft? 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So I could actually really look at that really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wide receivers in the first round. And I don't know what the record is, but I do know that they're talking that the wide receivers could set a record for most taken in the first round.
And that's my thinking with just my franchise, for example. Why go get one of the top 3 guys when we're nowhere near being close to being done with the rebuilding? And by the time we would get there, I have all the faith in Jerry Mayo and them boys, but like, why get him now? Why get one of those guys now? Build for 2 years, because you ain't going to do anything next year. Build for 2 or 3 years. See what's coming out of this freshman sophomore class.
Yeah, I really like the way that the Falcons built their roster. And I don't think they intended to build it this way, obviously, but they went in the last 3 years and took a playmaker in the top 10. You got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Bijan Robinson, and now you have this offense that a quarterback is looking at and saying, man, I would love to throw the ball to those guys. And that's why they were able to bring in Kirk Cousins. Now, obviously, the Falcons still have some things to add, more so on defense and on that offensive line, I think. But that's they build it the same way that you're talking. Go get those guys first and then go get your quarterback. So I don't know. We'll see. There's still quarterbacks out there in free agency as well. Ryan Tannehill's still out there. And that's the only one I can think of right now, but there's still other quarterbacks out there too.
Kenny Pickett's out there. Maybe.
No, Kenny Pickett is a Philadelphia
right,
Eagle.
that's right.
He is a Philadelphia Eagle. Yeah. And then you've got the Browns who've stockpiled quarterbacks. They've got 4. Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Tyler Huntley. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that can still happen. And honestly, things are going to look so different on Thursday night. They're going to look so different on Thursday night. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's just, this for me, this is kind of like a Super Bowl, or Christmas, if you will. And maybe for me personally, having a new regime, maybe we'll actually draft some players.
Not only for you though, I mean, normally as a Patriots fan, you guys are drafting 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. You guys are in the later part. I don't remember what pick you guys had last year, but when's the last time you've seen New England pick top 5?
I haven't that I can remember. No. But for me, it's like even when we had those 28, 29, 30, 31 picks, whatever, we never picked because we always traded back. I remember I watched one time we traded back like 3 times, and like our first pick was like late 3rd. And which, to be fair, Belichick wasn't the best drafter. But I would like to take something special at 3 if we don't trade out. I don't think we need the quarterback yet, in my opinion.
What's funny is what a quick Google search can do for you. The last time the New England Patriots drafted in the top 10, the last time they drafted in the top 10, you want to take a stab at who it was? I'll go ahead and tell you. You know what? He's a head coach in the NFL.
Oh, Vrabel?
No, he's the Patriots head coach.
Oh,
Rob Mayo, number 10. The last time the Patriots have picked number 10, they selected their future head coach. So guess what? 10, 15, 20 years down the line from now, whoever they take at number 3 is going to be the head coach of the Patriots.
Well, and let's hope we have, 12 Super Bowls by then.
Hey,
if history repeats itself,
It won't,
No, it
because you're not going to draft J.J. McCarthy at number 199. So, yeah.
I don't want J.J. McCarthy. So,
yeah, I think that J.J. is more than likely. I don't know. I think Minnesota. I think that in the draft we're going to see, and New England could trade out. Washington could trade out at 2, but I think we see Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May in some order of those 3. Obviously, Caleb Williams is going 1. Daniels and May are going 2 and 3, but to who? Does New England trade back a little bit and trade out with a team that's looking to move up, looking to take their quarterback of the future, or do they sit tight and take that quarterback?
I think 1 and 2 are locked, in my opinion. I think the new ownership and everything with the Commanders, they want a big splash, and they're not going to get another North Carolina quarterback. So for Daniels is the number 2 pick. That's just all, in my opinion. That's all there is to it.
Welcome back, Aaron.
Hey,
Hi.
You're not
I had to
frozen.
restart my entire computer.
It was all those ads. It was all those ads on the side.
All those very sketchy ads that you had over there.
It was all about losing weight and stuff. Someone over here said they were promised feet pics. I don't know if there was any ad for feet pics, but
I was just saying, just watch the ad. You might have one pop up there, bro.
Yeah, that's very true. That is very true. Aaron, is there anybody that we didn't take in the first round in our mock draft tonight that you think has a really good chance of going in the first round, or anybody you personally want to see like on your team that maybe didn't get drafted?
Well, I know you mentioned the quarterbacks. I definitely think someone will come up and try to grab those to get that 5th-year option that's so coveted for the quarterback position. Jackson Powers Johnson is the top center in the draft, in my opinion. I definitely think he goes somewhere. I wouldn't mind if the Bears trade back like in the 20s or something. I would not mind having him on my team because they are trying to build an offensive line around who they are attempting to bring in at quarterback. But other than that, I mean, we had a lot of offensive tackles go. I don't know if that many will go in the actual draft, but yeah, but I thought I had a good time.
It was definitely fun, and I mean, Corey taking Marvin Harrison at 3 definitely threw the draft out. But imagine what would have happened though too if Aaron, if you would have pivoted at number 1 and taken Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1. I mean, we saw JJ McCarthy and Drake May both fall past the Bears at 9. Granted, it's not going to happen in the draft, but you could have walked away a real winner, Aaron, and had Marvin Harrison at 1 and Drake May at 9. But instead, you decided to go with Caleb Williams, who, I'm sorry, bud.
I can't wait. I can't wait till Aaron.
That's the.
In week 10, he's just sitting there motherfucking Caleb Williams. It's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I mean, I was motherfucking Caleb Williams last year when he wasn't even on my team because I saw the writing on the wall, and every mock draft that came out said it was going to be him, and I was still a Justin Fields fanboy. I don't know. I think it's a money thing. Like even Ryan Pohl. I don't want to continue to go into this and be a Bears podcast, but even Ryan Poles said, his son had a Justin Fields jersey, and he had to let him know, hey, that's the money ain't lining up. We need to get that rookie contract. So it is what it is.
When's the last time a rookie contract won a Super Bowl?
The rookie contract often gets them to the Super Bowl because they're able to build around it.
Sure. But, I mean, did Patrick Mahomes win a Super Bowl on his rookie contract?
Pretty sure.
Yes. Like last year. The last year.
He won 1. And then before that, I mean, Big Ben in his second year. I know won a Super Bowl, but
Tom Brady took less money to allow them to build around him.
Tom Brady's a smart man.
Does Carson Wentz technically count with Nick Foles?
I mean, he is a Super Bowl winner, but Nick Foles was not on a rookie contract.
No, but I mean, he was even. Well, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
$50 million a year back then either.
That's
Joe
true.
Flacco would like a word.
Joe Flacco was not on a rookie contract when he won his Super Bowl.
No, but he got like $48 million or whatever.
I mean, when he threw 18 touchdowns and no interceptions in that 4-game span or something of that nature, and he absolutely fleeced the Ravens. Yeah, yeah. I mean, goodness, but I don't know. I'm just not a big believer in the rookie contracts getting you a Super Bowl. I don't know.
Well, they didn't win, but San Francisco's been there because their rookie quarterback on a 7th round deal allows them to build something around them.
They also got there 4 years before that with Jimmy Garoppolo, who was not on a rookie contract. The 49ers somehow they just shit gold. That's why they're the 49ers. They go out and mine. Because they bring in these guys, and I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they continue to go out and get big name after big name after big name. And it's like, where is this money coming from?
It's all those teams in LA. They do it. The Rams do it. The Dodgers do it.
Joe Burrow hadn't signed his contract when they went to the Super Bowl.
They went to the Super Bowl, but it didn't win them a Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey,
fair enough. All right,
we ain't been since 07 and we ain't won one since 85. I'll take fucking getting that. Just get me to the playoffs, please. And Justin Fields, for as much as I loved him, the guy won 5 games. I know he's a victim of circumstances. He didn't have everything you needed around him. And by the time he did have a couple pieces, they got rid of him. But hey, it's a business, man. Sometimes you just gotta go with what you got. And
Justin Fields was a victim. He is the first child. So the first child of a brand new relationship. You don't have a lot of money. It was an accident. You had Justin Fields, and now they're going to get Caleb Williams, who's the second child. You got a little bit of a better job in your marriage. You're making more money, and now you can go out and spend and get Caleb Williams nice things.
Now,
Sorry, you had a.
Justin was the kid from a previous marriage.
He's gone. He's gone. Yeah, that's true. Right.
I hope Justin
Yes,
Fields rushes and passes for a total of 40 touchdowns this
Well,
year.
I hope he does too. But here's the thing: he never did that in a Bears uniform. He couldn't read the field. How many times, Kyle, did you watch your Green Bay Packers linebackers standing in the middle of the field catch a pass to them? His
How many
throws were slow.
times-
He never learned how to throw anticipatory throws. He never ever learned that. They didn't need it at Ohio State because he had superstars all around him, and he never learned it at Chicago. And maybe that's on the coaching. I don't know. Maybe he learns that in Pittsburgh. But
How many
the money-
times in the history of the Chicago Bears have we seen a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards or 30 passing touchdowns?
0 times.
0.
Thank you so much for bringing that up again.
Yeah, that one popped up on my screen 2 days ago. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's.
Yeah, they love
There's
it.
no picture. It's NA
It's
in the logo.
The logo. Yeah.
Not applicable. Tom Brady did for 2 different teams.
Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns. You guys can't even get 30 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I
Y'all
still can't believe-
y'all could pick up a homeless man on the way into Lambeau Field, and that motherfucker could throw for 30
I
touchdowns.
still can't believe Cutler didn't. Like, he had to be close.
I am-
didn't
I-
he?
His
Yeah.
best years, he usually got hurt. Like there was the year that he hurt his thumb. We were 7-3. He throws an interception against the Chargers, runs the guy down, tackles him, breaks his thumb. He's out the rest of the year. We lose. We win one more game after that. And I believe missed the playoffs. But that was, I mean, his best years, he didn't finish the year. If we stuck with Josh McCown, maybe we would have got it with him because he was putting up big numbers. But who knows? When the Bears were good, they ran the ball and played defense. You didn't have to throw 30 touchdowns or 4,000 yards. That was unheard of, you know? So I don't know.
That's
We'll see
a rough
if
stat.
we'll see if Caleb Williams can do it.
He can't.
No, I'm not.
You don't know that, Kyle.
I do know
I
it.
kind of do, yeah.
I do know it.
So Kyle has never ever missed on a quarterback prospect. There was never a quarterback you said this guy's gonna be good and then he wasn't good, or vice versa. You thought this guy was gonna be bad and he turned out to be good.
I mean, yeah, all the time.
See,
Right.
I'm not in love with Caleb Williams.
In my
I
heart
didn't
of
see it,
hearts,
but
in my gut of guts.
every expert, everyone who watched, of course, no one saw it with Patrick Mahomes either. So who knows? Who knows what he could be? But
Unless Caleb Williams is able to change his mentality and the way that he carries himself, he is not a franchise quarterback, and he is not somebody that I would want leading my team into the future.
everybody that they talk to says they love the guy. I didn't like what I heard him say at the combine, but when they talked to his teammates, they all love the guy. When they brought Caleb Williams to Chicago and had him hang out with the current team, and they all liked him. They talked to guys that worked on the freaking grasslands at USC, and they liked the guy. I don't see it, but they're all seeing it.
I can't
mean,
say anything because I thought Drew Lock and Paxton Lynch were going to be the greatest things ever. So
I thought Josh Rosen was going to be great.
now that was one I did not get wrong. I thought he was trash. But
Here's the thing though with Drew Lock is Drew Lock still has a chance to be great. I mean, look at
I
what
thought-
Kurt Warner did.
I thought Drew Lock was going to be in Chicago. I thought Shane Waldron was going to bring him in there to back up Caleb, but
They don't want anybody backing up Caleb that people are going to get a rise out of when he throws 4 interceptions in week 3, that they're going to want him benched for a different quarterback. So you guys are going to keep Tyson Bagent, and nobody's going to call for him to take over for Caleb Williams.
you don't know Chicago wins.
Or you guys are going to pull a Washington and draft Caleb Williams number 1, and then take I don't know, Jordan Travis in like the 5th or 6th round, and Travis is going to end up being the quarterback that hits for you guys.
I could see it in week 3 or week 4 next year, Chicago radio. But if he didn't spend too much time painting his damn fingernails, he might be focused more on football.
Oh, they've already been saying that. What do you think the biggest game they've all seen? Him going to New Orleans and getting absolutely his ass kicked. That's what has taken Chicagoans so long to get on the bandwagon with Caleb Williams. And like I said, I still don't know if I am, but all the experts and everybody who knows a lot more than me, they watch the tape a lot more than I do, says that this is the guy. And every rumor, every person they speak to says that's going to be the guy that Chicago got. It doesn't matter if Washington came out and said 5 first-round picks, we trade up, and I don't think they take it because I think they would have taken him last year. I think they would have moved on last year if he came out.
Riddle me this, Batman: is Caleb Williams going to show up in a dress? Because that's a rumor. I mean, 2024 one love, but I mean that's going to be a different ballgame if he shows up.
I hope not. I don't know. We'll find out next Thursday.
I guess we will.
Damn you, Corey.
I don't think I was getting ball socked on that one. There was like multiple reports that he's like, I'm going to be a dress.
Remember when the Oakland Raiders selected Jamarcus Russell instead of taking Calvin Johnson, excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah. The Bears are about to take Caleb Williams instead of taking Marvin Harrison Jr. So,
damn, man.
How many quarterbacks have stepped into the situation that Caleb Williams is about to step into? I know we're not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. You know I love Marvin Harrison Jr. We got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. You've got Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. You have a decent offensive line. You have a top 10 scoring defense in the entire NFL. No number one overall pick quarterback has ever stepped into a situation like that.
So it means there's going to be very, very high expectations for him.
Absolutely.
And when those expectations aren't hit, this man, Caleb Williams has faced adversity. He said it himself. He's faced adversity. He didn't start his freshman season. At Oklahoma. He got hurt, and then they had a losing season last year. He's faced adversity. So
hot take: Mark Sanchez was better at USC.
Carson Palmer was better at USC.
Well, Carson Palmer was a good NFL quarterback too.
That's true. And then he forced his way out of Cincinnati.
He said, "I'd rather retire than play for these." Echo for Life 88 or 68. 88 says, let's
88.
Talk about some winners. How about them boys? Who did we select for the Dallas Cowboys? Guyton, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. So we got you an offensive lineman. You still have CeeDee Lamb and company at the wide receiver position. You did nothing in free agency.
They bought like some Diet Coke. That was it. That's all they got.
And a pack of Mentos.
Yeah.
They did add Royce Freeman yesterday, and then also running back news before we started today. The Los Angeles Chargers added J.K. Dobbins.
And that first week 1-2, he might be. That's going to be a hell of a week for them.
Yeah,
I didn't know Royce Freeman was still playing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
He is.
Good for him.
We can talk about the Cowboys. I don't think they're winners. They've CeeDee Lamb, I believe, is not at OTAs right now. It's voluntary, but that's fine. More than likely could potentially hold out for a new contract, and then Dak's on his last year. I do believe I saw Bill Belichick say that he has 3 teams that he's interested in coaching: Philadelphia, New York Giants, and the Dallas Cowboys. So when the Cowboys go, I don't know, 7-11. 18 games, 17 games, 7-10. Bill Belichick will be probably the new head coach of the Cowboys next year.
I mean, I know they didn't do anything, but like they still can win that division. The Eagles imploded. Let's say they're not going to do that next year. They have a winning record. I mean,
Mm.
they lost Tyron Smith and they lost a decent running back who couldn't be a number one running back. But I mean, they're still a decent team. In my opinion, I don't know.
I mean, when everybody else around you is doing things and you're not, who's to say that the New York Giants aren't going to come out and be the 2022 New York Giants and surprise everybody? Who's to say that the Commanders aren't going to come out and be the 2023 Houston Texans? There's no telling. There's no telling. I mean, I chose
the Bears
the
won't
Jets.
be the 2023 Houston Texans.
Let's calm down. Let's calm down over there.
No, why? Why can't they?
They
I saw
can. They can, but I've shit on Caleb Williams so much that I can't say, oh yeah.
You can't go back now.
Yeah. I can't. I'm too
That's all
far
right.
gone.
We've all got our misses. I mean, I was on the Anthony Richardson train really early last year. As soon as he was drafted, I said he's a Hall of Famer. And then he just happened to get injured.
All he did is motherfucking volunteers.
I'm gonna go back and pull the video because
Pull it
you
up.
were crapping.
I don't know who was worse,
so
him or my
hard
buddy
last year.
Chris, who's a Colts fan.
Well, he
All they
actually is
did
quarterback
was
for Christmas.
shit all over them. And then as soon as like week 3 got here, my buddy Chris was like, "Oh man, AR-15, greatest quarterback ever."
I mean, I still think they should have went with Levis instead, and I think
Yes, they should.
that is my bias. But yeah, I mean, maybe he works out, but he got hurt 3 times this year and ended up on IR. I thought that was going to be the Bryce Young story. I was worried about his size. I was like, "There's no way he's going to make it."
I forgot Carolina didn't. Man, Carolina, I went over under 1.5 wins next year. I mean, that team's just shit.
Well, they went and got Jadeveon Clowney, and they've got the number 1 pick in the 2nd round. So if it goes the way we got it, they can get Ladd McConkey in there. That guy, well, you saw him against Kentucky, Corey.
Yeah.
Like they had these big name receivers, and Ladd McConkey was just eating.
But
of course, Bowers did.
Either Ladd McConkey or Ricky Pearsall, one of those two is going to New England for sure.
I think Pearsall for sure for me.
Yeah,
Pearsall's good too. He catches everything, dude.
No, that's the thing is like there's tiers of wide receivers. I don't think there's all those top 10 or 11, 12 receivers can be at worst a good 3. I think this class is really, really good.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, it is. I just hope if the Bears draft goes that way, one of them falls to us at 75. I don't know. I don't know who. But
I think Chicago's trading out of number 9. I honestly do. I think that they messed up by not trading out of number 1 and taking an absolute haul and continue to build that team. But they don't. I mean, they have 5 picks in the draft?
4. You got 1, 9, 75, and 122.
They've got to trade. They've got to trade out of 9, and they've got to trade out of 9 for picks this year.
They talked to Ryan Poles about it, he said, we traded the 2nd round pick for Montez Sweat, which worked out for our defense. We traded the 5th round pick for an offensive lineman who he tried to get in free agency 2 years ago, Ryan Bates from Buffalo, and he traded the 4th round pick for Keenan Allen. And he talked about the draft this year, especially with NIL and the transfer portal. A lot of those younger guys that were coming out, they just went back to school because they were like, why go be a 6th round pick when I can come back, make a couple mil either way, and then come out in the draft next year, and it might improve my stock. So that was kind of his point. Like I can trade these picks for guys that are proven. That a 4th round pick for Keenan Allen. I mean, he hardly ever plays a full season, but when he's on the field, the guy produces. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I don't know.
I think that me personally, I think the Vikings packaged those 2 picks, and I want it to be the Patriots. They traded 3, but it's either I have a feeling they could package something like that and go get the Patriots or the Washington pick.
I don't think that 11 and 23 gets them all the way up there. I think that they're going to have to.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not just those 2 picks. I think there's some additional stuff. But I think that's why they made that trade a few weeks
100%.
ago. So they could package those. Like I said, I'm hoping it's to the Patriots, but Washington's still up in the air for that. Washington might have this thing.
I think it'll be because Arizona's been hoarding picks, man. It'll either be Arizona or the Chargers are in cap hell. They have to have a bunch of rookies in order to get out of that. So they could look at one of those two spots.
Well, the thing I think is they want a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels. So you'd have to get the third or the second pick. You can't wait till the fifth pick, I don't think.
I don't know. Well, we could have waited till pick 12 tonight. So.
All right. I think it's time to get out of here, fellas. Like, comment, subscribe on the video. Go to Daily Football Roundups YouTube page. We go live. If you hit the little bell, it'll tell you. But during the season, we go live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. If you don't catch us live, catch us the next day on Spotify or iHeartRadio. We'll pull the audio and put it up in podcast. No matter where you catch us, if you can give us a like, give us a 5-star review, leave us a little note saying, hey, these guys are really good, or hey, Aaron's an idiot, or whatever you want to do. Just leave it there. But I would prefer if you had more stars on your thing because it helps our algorithm, helps us grow this thing. We had a couple new people in here tonight, and I'm not sure exactly when we'll come back, but if you stay looking at DFR, Daily Football Roundups, Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above, I'm sure our guy DF Roundup, aka Kyle over there, will keep you up to date on news and notes when we return. We might, Corey, I'll talk about it off air, but we might come back and recap the draft next. I guess it would be 2 weeks from now, but we'll see. But until then, Corey, can you tell them for me?
Bye.